Listen. Urban legends. And then I got stuck with a bunch of things to say. Some not so great. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for American Horror Stories. This is season 2, episode 5, which is called simply Bloody Mary. I said, oh, okay. All right. Now, I got some messages. I got messages from you all. Oh, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. I did not. Y'all been off 2 weeks. Last week, everybody said it was gross and I was going to hate it. And I liked last week. This one, everybody thought I would love it. And I didn't. Naturally, the story of Bloody Mary, she's an urban legend. She is, it's the battle of good versus evil. But this one could have had, it has such potential. It has such potential. Oh, it would have been a dream for me to be able to be on the writing team with this one because I had so many. As I was watching it, I was watching the story fall apart and I was figuring it out. And I'm like, Ryan, come on, dude, this ain't what we do. This is not what we do. I don't unravel your stories as they go, but it would have been a dream for me to be on this and be able to write this. This was so Candyman and really old, like, you know what? Maybe if we were really going for just nostalgia, I'd say okay, because it's very early 80s. Very early 80s, but it had a whole corny thing to it. And then I'm going to tell you, and I don't really want to say this because it's not politically correct, but I'm going to say it because that's who I am. When I do this, it's SpillitBoyTV, and I say it like it is. This story doesn't work because of who you actually cast in it. Though I love that you made the story and you made it about 4 African American girls, but that is actually where the actual mistake was made with this particular story. 4 teenage Black girls, this is not their story. This is not their story. And that's where it lost a lot of the credibility. Now, if this would have been written and then cast with 4 Caucasian girls, it would have worked. It would have worked. Even if it was actually cast with Caucasian and Asian, maybe 1 Asian girl. Because if you get, this is, oh God, I'm sounding so terrible here. But it just is the way it is. It's just the way we function. We function a certain type of way. Black girls don't do this stuff. Black girls don't do this stuff. Not 16, 17, Gary be 18. And 2022? Nope. And I said, Caucasian girls with 1 Asian girl. Yes, if you got 2 Asian girls, the 2 of them ain't going out. It just ain't how we function. It really is not. It's not. And it depends on which Caucasian girls that you actually cast. Okay, so I'm way off into this race land, but it is what it is. It is what it is. And I'm telling you, this is not the story of 4 Black girls. It is not. It is not. But saying all that, let's go. And then you wrapped it up with some Black rituals and slaves, and the story's wrong. The story's wrong. But let's start off with, well, I guess I can't start off with the good because I done already did like 3-4 minutes of the bad. But that's what it is. That's what it is. So, okay, let's go. Let's go. And this is, usually it's all I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I didn't love it. I didn't love it. I want to rewrite it. I want to recast it. Now, I'll leave the cast there, but I can rewrite it for 4 Black girls. I could do it. But anyway, all right, down off my soapbox. But boom, boom, bam it, I'm back. So listen, the best thing is that Dominique Jackson was actually cast as Bloody Mary. So that was, I said, hey, it's always good to see Dominique. So I was like, hey girl, how you doing? The makeup was horrible. Horrible. And the visuals weren't so great. Okay. Yeah. This was thrown together. Okay, so listen. So we got 4 girls. We got Bianca, Elisa. Those 2 are sisters. You got Maggie and you got Lena. Those are 2 of their friends. They're hanging out over at Lena's house. Lena ends up telling the girls about this little game. Oh, let's play this game. It's Bloody Mary. You get in the mirror, you say her name 3 times. She is, she either comes and gives you all your wishes. She can see into your soul. And if she don't like what she see, she'll claw your eyes out. They're like, okay. Learn. Yeah, my mom told me about it. Yeah, okay. All right, whatever. So all the while, Bianca says, that don't sound like a good idea. That don't sound like nothing I want to do. I just really ain't feeling it. Elisa is the older sister. She's, girl, come on, we're going to do it, girl. And then she pulls her to the side and she tells her, she's like, girl, you're trying to ruin my fun. I get tired of having to drag you around. Now, that is a Black people thing, because I think every Black person who actually has a younger sibling, myself included, we've all lived that thing where our parents say, if you can't take him or her with you, then you can't go. And then here you are dragging them along, which is so unfair, because all it is you the damn babysitter for that baby that you didn't have and you didn't ask for. So I think all older Black siblings have gone through that. So that I can identify with, baby. Trust me. And there's been many times when I said, well, guess what, girl? If I got to take him, I ain't going. We're going to both sit here and look at you and aggravate the hell out of you all night long until time to go to bed, because I ain't taking them with me. I'd rather not go. Anyway, so here we are. She's fussing. Elisa's fussing at Bianca. Bianca's like, I'm sorry. Gives her a shot. Fine, let's do it. Now, when they were first going to be in the mirror and do the whole Bloody Mary thing, they ain't, not going to do it like that. They were all going to do it together. Now, once they had talked her into it, now they're going to all go in 4 different spaces, turn the lights off, light a candle, and stand in the mirror all separate. So I don't want you knowing my secret, girl. So they all go into separate rooms. She came and she showed up to all of them. And when I seen the first one, it was like, okay, here we go. It's Dominique Jackson. So as soon as I seen her, I was like, okay, cool. And she's very Afrocentric. She has, her hair is in a blowout and all of this, and the actual garb that she has on. I said, okay, I'm digging that, but I'm looking at the makeup. And the effect with the glazed over eyes, it just kind of looked they had her looking a little ashy. Here we go. This whole thing, I guess, is going to be really not PC. None of this is going to be politically correct. I'm Black, so I could say it, and I don't feel no kind of way about it. I'm very much African American, Black male, and she looked ashy. She's looking ashy. They had her looking old, but she didn't look scary. She didn't look scary, and then she had these little gold, very Freddy Krueger. And look, everything just looks so borrowed. I said, child, something borrowed, something blue, something ashy. Look at you, honey. I said, I don't like this. But anyway, she's standing there, and I'm like, hey, girl. And that's truly what I'd have said. If I'd have seen her in the mirror, I'd have been like, hey, girl. That's what it would have gave. So I probably told her, do your makeup, bitch. Anyway, So she comes to all of them. Okay. So she ends up talking to them, and you hear one person scream. Everybody looks scared, because they're showing them all simultaneously. Everybody looks scared, pretty much. And she literally, when you see Elisa, she leans over. She's talking to Elisa, just like, and that's what it sounded like. And it was like, yeah, okay, whatever. So they come out, and then they all run into the one room because Maggie screams. When they open the door with Maggie, they all see the vision of her actually gouging at Maggie's face. And I was like, oh shit. So she must didn't like what she's seeing with Maggie. And then they scream, and Maggie turns around. She's like, what? And they're like looking, and they're like, girl, wait a minute. What we saw, like we saw her clawing you, honey. She's like, no, that's not, no. So then they all come out. They all end up talking right away. Bianca says she talked to me, and she said, she knew about me wanting to go to Yale. And she says, but she told me that if I wanted to go to Yale, what I had to do was make up a story about my guidance counselor molesting me. And then that would ruin his life, and it would give me a full ride. Everything would work out for me, but it would ruin his life. And she's like, so that kind of was that. And I was like, And then Elisa said, but no, Elisa was last. Maggie said, yeah, she told me if I want to get Rivers, this guy named River, if I want to get River back from his new girlfriend, I have to expose her nudes, her new photos. And that's going to like basically ruin her life. And I don't know. And then Lena says, yeah, if I want to be the cheer captain, I have to drop old girl who's the lead cheerleader. I have to drop her from the pyramid, which is going to ruin her life, or maybe might kill her, might break her neck. And so Elisa's like, oh, wow. And so Elisa's like, they said, did she say something to you? She said, yeah, she said she talked to me. She talked to me. She said, listen, well, what did you ask her about? She said, I told her I wanted to be rich. She said, I would have to, and then she stopped. So right then I said, I'll keep my eye on you, because why didn't you tell? Why didn't you tell? She never told them what she was supposed to do. She was like, whatever. So they're going back and forth with, was it real? Was it not real? What's really going on? They were pretty shaken up. And they says, come on, we're going home. So Bianca and Elisa, they're going on about their business, going home. They head home. They get there. You see their actual current living arrangements. Their mother is a ridiculous tramp. Okay. She's laying in here. She is this white guy, and she's on the couch with, when they open the door, she's just, one of these apartments where you open the door and you're right in the living room. She's laying up with this guy, and then she tells them, y'all were supposed to be staying all night out, and this, that, thing, and the other. And she's like, I deserve a night, this, that, and the other. Just get, y'all almost grown anyway. Get out of my house now. So the two of them end up going out and sleeping in the car. We figure out all this about their life. Their life with their mother is just a mess. She's a tramp, and she's just no good. And she's pretty much tired of not taking care of them, because she ain't taking care of them. We found out that Elisa basically she has a job, and she really looks out for her little sister. They're only like a year apart. They're like a year apart. And it just is like, whatever. It's this terrible story. But then they end up going out. They go sleep in the car. And she's saying, I really do want to go to Yale. I really want to go, this, that, and the other, on and on and on. And she's like, whatever. She's like, but, it's not real. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. This, that, and the other. They out there in the car. and they're going to sleep in the car. And in the rear side mirror, you see Bloody Mary is actually in the mirror. She's sitting there in the mirror, like, oh, child, I ain't real. I'm right here, child. So that was that. So the next day, they're all in class. And this is the thing. I don't know what this deal is pretty much. Well, yeah, because the three of them are seniors. And I think the other one, I think Bianca is a junior. And the other three are seniors. So we got the three in class. We got Elisa, Maggie, and Lena are all in a class. And the teacher's actually, she's talking about reflections and how reflections, sometimes in a mirror or in water and all of this could actually be, there's been tales of our ancestors that used to say that was like those reflections were sometimes like portals to, the other life, or portals to, to the other side and all this kind of thing. Well, she has her blackboard. It's a portable blackboard, and then she flips it over. And it is a mirror. So the three of them are given, and baby, you hear it start cracking on the sides. It's cracking down. Only the three of them could actually see it. But baby, it cracks, and baby, there she is, honey. She's standing there, and she told Miss Mary herself and tells them, "You all have made pacts with me. Fulfill them." And they jump up and they run out of the class, and the teacher's looking at them like, the hell's wrong with them three? They run on out. So then they start talking. They run down there under the bleachers, and they're talking. They're outside under the bleachers, and they're talking. And she says, Nina's like, there's like a part of the story. Like when my mom was younger, there was this party that she didn't get invited to, and she didn't go. There was a game that was played at the party, and everybody at the party ended up dying or they ended up in a psych ward. And they're like, excuse me, ma'am, why did you not tell us this beforehand? Why didn't you tell us this? And then nobody has shared this whole thing that she done said, we got to do these things or else. And they're like, well, what's the or else? Well, I mean, now you know what the or else is. The or else is you're either going to lose your mind or you're going to lose your life. Because the beginning, she told them that the whole thing was that they, either she likes what she sees or she don't like what she sees. If she don't like what she sees, she will kill you right away. She didn't kill none of them right away, but this was what she didn't tell. I guess that was what the part of the game was, but it really is not a game. It really isn't a game. Anyway, so that's that. So then we see Bianca actually in the counselor's office, and they're actually speaking about, her and everything like that. And you can see right away, she just has a really good soul. And she's like, I'm not willing to ruin anybody's life to make my life better. I'm just not willing to do it as much as I would love to have it. And then as she's in the office, she looking in a mirror in his office and crack, 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 crack. Here she is. And she's saying, okay. And as she looks in the mirror, she literally sees the counselor where he's hanged himself. So naturally, she knows if she goes through with what it was she's told that she needs to do to get what she wants, that it's going to ruin his life to the point where he's going to take his life himself. So that's that. As the day goes on, you end up getting Elisa the other ones are getting little, they're being seen by Mary. She's in the mirror in the locker. For Maggie, she's where else was she? For Lena, she was in the mirror in the locker room, and she said, get to it. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's go. Elisa has begun to research. She's researching the background of Bloody Mary, and there was another name that actually had come up. There's a woman's name who comes up. She has this long conversation with a historian at this small museum, and there are like a lot of artifacts and different things like that. And there's a whole story of a woman named Margaret Worth that she actually gets this background on. Now, in the midst of all that going on, let me jump back over. Bianca ends up seeing Um, yeah, Bianca ends up seeing Bloody Mary. This is later on that night. She sees Bloody Mary, and Bloody Mary tells her, "You have until 12 p.m. You have till 12 p.m. to do what it is I told you to do." 12 p.m. Now, let me throw this in because I left this out. Lena actually had the perfect opportunity to drop her cheer coach, her cheer captain, and she couldn't go through with it. She couldn't go through with it. And she's laying in the bed. Elisa was at work. Bianca's in the bed. Bloody Mary comes to her, says to her what she has to say. By the time Lisa gets off work, she's coming home. She looks, Bianca's outside and she's crying. And she's like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "She came to me. She came to me and she talked to me. She said, I have to get things done by 12 noon or else, you know." And right at that time, Maggie ends up running up. And Maggie is crying. She's in tears. She's like, "What's going on, Maggie?" She's like, "Lena is dead. Lena's dead." Like literally, there was blood everywhere. Her eyes were gouged out, and she's just dead. And I never seen anything like that. She's like, her mother was wailing, and I heard this wail that she did, and it was just terrible. So we got a little quick flash of how she was gouged and everything like that. But it was even kind of, the corpse of her, So whatever. Her eyes were gouged out. Anyhow, so during the day, like I said, Elisa has this whole conversation with this historian. He's telling her the story of Margaret Worth. Margaret Worth was a woman who had this cabin close to where they lived. And Margaret actually had a slave girl. She had a slave girl. Okay. Always your own, leading you into some bull crap, honey. Slave girl. She lead the people and made the people feel comfortable. They come into the house. They were like escaped slaves that have escaped, and they're on their way up north. And she say, "Okay, come on, and I'll house you, and then you all can get moving again. After you get some rest and everything." So she would hide them under the floor, and then they go. But then shortly after you're under the floor, you find out that you're not really ever leaving. Some people were sold back into slavery, and then others were tortured and killed. And there was this specific type of knife that she had that was like, it was a weird kind of knife. It kind of looked like a paring knife, but it had a little hooked end. And if you looked at it really closely, it looked like the gold nails, the gold knives that were on Bloody Mary's fingers. She had them. I said, "See here, y'all go. Y'all done borrowed this mess from Freddy Krueger." So I really didn't appreciate that. But I love the fact that they were gold and they looked really, really cool along with her costume because she had a lot of gold adornment, which, gold is like the color of royalty. So that's that. But it's one of those colors. Anyway, corny. It was corny. It was borrowed and I didn't like it. But anyhow, so she tortured them, she killed them, some of them she sold back. That was that. So she goes on about her business. Meanwhile, Maggie and Bianca are in the library. In the library, we got River and his new girlfriend sitting back there. She has the actual the pictures, and she's like, I don't want to die. I just don't want to die. I'm just so over this. She's like, "I'm just gonna do it." She's like, "I can't do it." She's like, "Don't like." She's like, "Come on, Maggie. Like, it's gonna ruin her life. You just never know." She's like, "It really is going to ruin her." She ends up telling her, how she saw in the mirror, same thing. How she seen the guy hanged himself. She saw just the whole side of girlfriend's head bashed out. And she's like, "But you don't know what that's all about. You don't know if," because she found not just the pictures, she actually found a sex tape of the girl with another guy. She says, "You don't know if that's just going to ruin her life, if she's going to kill herself, or if it's him that ends up killing her. You don't know how badly that little situation is going to go." Maggie's like, "I don't know. It's just, look, it's like it's down to me or them. Like, her life being ruined. Like her body's great. I mean, she'll be okay. It's, you know, I want to live. So she's like, she gets up and walks away from her like, I cannot believe you. I can't believe you. So later on that day, Elisa is talking to the mother. You know, her and the mother have a little back and forth, and she says to mother says, she says, you wish, she said, you say you wish that we were never like that you never had us. And the mother's looking at her like, honey, I ain't got time for wishes. It just is what it is. She's just nasty and mean. And she kind of like looked at her and she went on, walked away. And she tells Lisa, she's like, well, we don't have much time. We're going to stop her. That's what we're going to do. We're going to stop. She's like, so now we're going to stop her. And she had told, they end up having this conversation and she's telling her sister, you know, you always have taken care of me, this, that thing, and the other. This really is not on you. You're trying to battle a spirit at this point now. She said, you make sure I eat, you pay the rent in the house and stuff. You've been more of a mother to me than a sister. And this time I got to stand up for myself because I took the drink. I took the oath with girlfriend. I did all this. I didn't want to do it, but I did it. I went through with it. And this is just really not on you. She's like, oh yeah, it is. As long as I'm your sister and all of that, I'm going to always make sure you're all right. So that's that. She's like, so look, I'm going to commit grand larceny and then I'm going to go stab a bitch. That's just the way it is. She said, we got to go and I need to run into her and get her at the source of her power, which is at her home, and get her. She told her to get her. Now, in the midst of all of that, we get the other part of the story. The other part of the story, where we say, well, what is the whole thing? We see that one of the slaves that had gotten taken in was actually Bloody Mary. And the man had told her, the historian had told us that the truth, you know, the legend goes that girlfriend took and housed the wrong person and pulled that bull crap on them. And the next thing they know, they actually found her dead in her house. And since that knife was actually what was used, and that's what that was that they used, that was used to kill her. So they run to the museum. They get there right before the right like 5 minutes before the closing. They get the man to let it was just Bianca. She gets him to let her in. He's talking to her, telling her about some Aborigine folk and whatnot, and on and on and on. And all while he's doing that, you got Lisa is sneaking in, sneaking around, and stealing the knife. And it's just getting cornier about a minute. I said, yeah. So they get the knife, they get on out of there, and they head on out to the woods to this cabin. This right here is where we separate all ties. Two black girls, 17 and 18, they not. No, we're not going to play Blair Witch. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. This is just, no. Nope. I'm not buying it. This story at this point had really lost all its credibility. Even with the fact that we put the slaves in, this is where I said, I wish I could rewrite this. I wish I could rewrite this. I love the story, literally, of Margaret Worth. I love that whole story. I love this next part that I'm gonna tell you about. But this headed to the cabin, no ma'am, Pam, honey. No, not at all. But anyway, on the way to the cabin, they gonna stop by and grab up Maggie to go to the cabin. Well, Maggie didn't never push the send button. Okay, she didn't actually release the photos and stuff. She thought better of it. And when they got to Maggie's house, guess what? Her eyes were gouged out. He laying in the bed, baby, her eyes was gouged out. I said, whatever. So now it's just the two sisters. Said, okay. So they get out there, and by the time they get there, she's like, I think we gotta go, like, from here, we gotta walk. We gotta be on foot. So as they're walking through these woods, and it's daylight, and then eventually when they finally they're getting close to the cabin, it's now getting dark. Dark in the woods. Teenage black girls. But anyway, they're going on in the woods. They walking. And as they start to approach you start seeing all these mirrors. I'm like, why are there mirrors out in the woods? Just mirrors. Most of them are broken, all different size mirrors. And you already having an issue about mirrors, and y'all still going deeper and deeper into the woods. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, Brad and Ryan, who in the hell do you think you telling this story to? I'm getting irritated. I said, I need to rewrite all of this. This is just terrible. Anyway, so they're going on, going on, going on. So here's what happens. Let me tell you the rest of the story about Maggie. Not Maggie, I'm sorry, Miss Margaret Worth. So there's a little boy, cute little boy, and he says to his mother, Bloody Mary, was actually his mother, and she says, oh, I'm thirsty, I need some water. She was like, okay, hold on, baby. So she goes up, she's going to go up to get water. And this is how she figures out that they have been locked up. And she's like, oh my God, this is terrible. So later on, here comes the slave girl. She comes down, she says, how are you working for this wretched woman? How are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And she's saying, Miss Margaret has always been good to me because when my mama came here, they left and nobody took me. Ain't nobody left and ain't nobody took nobody nowhere. They killed them and they left you there. But here you are so loyal to her with your dumb little self, and you luring your own people in and basically setting them up. So she's sitting there, and then this where she had the gun, and this where she made her fatal mistake. They're taking them, at this time they take them up, and there's a slave trade get ready to go on. And she says, okay. So they're taking the people upstairs. And the little slave girl says, and I don't know why I call her a little slave girl. She's like her early 20s. She's like in her early, she might have been 19, 20. She says, can we keep the boy? And she said, okay. Well, baby, mm-mm, mm-mm. Honey, Miss Mary was like snapping. She's like, no, where I go, my boy goes. It's our girl. Get your ass up there, honey. Got her all bound up in chains, and you know what the slave story gives. So they're standing upstairs, and as things are going on, she said, she said I was looking around and I'm like, how did we get here? We did all of this travel to get here to get away, and we are just literally in bondage again. And then now they done separated from me from my child. She said, I was looking around the room. This was a good part of the story. She said, I was looking around the room. She says, and then I happened to catch my reflection. She says, it's been so long since I've seen my own self. And she said, I see my reflection in the mirror and it reminded me of who I really was and what I really was about. She said, and at that point, I called upon my ancestors to do what I needed to do. And baby, girlfriend stomped on the floor, doop, 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 stomped on that floor, baby, and it got like misty, and baby, she broke them chains, baby, and then there were like men who were the slave owners that were actually trying to buy, baby. She had and they was giving had their necks broken. Then old Margaret was standing over there, honey, and she turned around, honey, and got the knife, honey, and gave her and got her ass, honey, and tore her ass up. And then the girl comes back around and she's like, no, well, because she protects that Margaret, just like Margaret's her mother. And when she reached up for her, honey, she turned around, honey, and gave her in her eye. I said, oh, girl, she fucked her up, buddy. Juked her in her eye, baby. And that's when she said, you know what? The power of the ancestors is to protect, to do what needs to be done to get you out of what predicament that you're in. It is not meant for vengeance, because she was really mad because she took her baby, Hattie, from her, and she juked her good, and I saw she just juke Patty in her eyes. So that's what she was saying, and she had ended up telling this story. She told this part of the story herself. I just kind of rushed it through, but this is the other part of the story. She juked her, and that was her thing. This is how she got locked into the mirror, because she used the powers for wrong. It's not made for killing. That power is not for killing, just for vengeful killing. So that's how the being caught in the mirror is literally a punishment from the ancestors. That's a punishment. So, and then once you do that, you learn everything about the powers that you have and all of that, but you're punished. You're locked in. You're locked. She's locked up in there. So anyway, so as they get out there, they're having this talk. The two sisters, they're having this talk, and she's like, I don't know where she's, they get to the cabin and they're looking around the cabin. She's like, I don't know where Mary is. She said, all of a sudden, now she keeps showing up all the time. And now all of a sudden she ain't showing up. So I guess we got to call her. So they call her, they call her a couple times. And then she shows up in this big mirror. They're outside the cabin. And she's like, did you get me everything that I needed? And she's like, yeah. She said, I got it. And she says, okay, wait a minute. She says, so what did you need? She says, well, see, with me, she said, Mary told me that I told Mary I wanted to be rich. And then Mary said to me that not only to be rich is one thing, but what I wanted to be is always protected and always have everything. I wanted to be wealthy and taken care of, not just rich. And for that, this is what I would have to do. I'd have to bring her something. I needed to bring her the blood of 3 innocents, and also the knife, the original knife. So she's like, okay. And she's like, well, wait a minute. So this never was about, like, what is this? This is not your, what are we doing here? And she's like, the blood of 3 innocents. She says, so Maggie, Lena, and me, you brought me out here to kill me. Like, are you serious right now? You brought me out here to kill me. She's like, I've been taking care of you your whole life. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But I'm just tired. I'm tired of the working and living in the car and just never feeling safe and never having enough and never being loved and this, that, and the other. And she's like, so I'm sorry. I got to do it. So, baby, the sisters get to rumbling. She runs. And she's hiding behind a tree, and Mary's saying, whatever, you got to get it together, get her or whatever. So she ends up, she walks up behind her sister. She's seen her, and then she jukes her in the back, honey. And then the next thing she's coming too, because she didn't kill her. She's coming too. And then she's sitting there. She got everything in the bag. She got blood from Maggie, blood from old girl from Lena, and she got it all together. And she done put those two bloods together. And now she's getting ready to juke her sister. And she's like, okay, well, that's going to be it. That's the 3 bloods. And maybe we're going to go ahead and get you released from the mirror. And yeah, it's going to be a good time, whatever. And then I'll have what I need and I'll have protection and everything's going to be all right. So she said, okay. So she ends up, get ready to get her sister, and she goes to juke her in the eye, and the two of them, she grab her arm, honey, and they get to tussling, and she ends up flipping her sister over, baby, and then she took and juked her in her eye, honey, and that was the end of that. And then she's sitting there, and of course she's like heartbroken, like, I can't believe I have literally had to kill my own sister for this. This is just all so stupid. And she's like, she says, listen, she said, if you're going to kill me, then go ahead and just go on and kill me. Get it over with. I ain't got nothing now anyway. It don't make no difference. And she says, see, what you need to understand about power. And she said, see, the blood of innocence. She said, And that's what I saw. She said, I always could see into your soul. She said, Mary is not a killer. I only killed once, and it was a mistake. And that's what she told her the story I already told y'all about the whole situation with the calling upon the ancestors and all that. But again, she said, that nothing comes without a price. And she said, and that was the price. I got locked into the mirror because, again, I killed when I wasn't supposed to kill. Everything else was pretty much clean slate. But when she killed the slave girl, out of order, out of order. And the ancestors made her pay for that. So she said, and what I seen in you, she said, again, I never kill anybody. I never told anybody really. I said ruin your life. I ain't really telling nobody really kill nobody. Little manipulation tactic. And she says, but that's power. That's power to be able to manipulate people. And she says, so, but with you, she said, I saw your soul, just like I see any other soul. She said, your sister was a natural born killer. She was a killer. I saw it in her. And I just had her do it. I had her be herself. I pull out what I see. She said, I saw nothing but pure innocence from you. Pure innocence. She said, and so the killer, you're not being punished for killing your sister. You will be punished for killing your sister because you did what needed to be done to save yourself. You weren't killing for vengeance or anything like that. And so she's like, okay. And she says, but see, the thing is, she says, sacrifice is not to be, punished. She said you sacrificed and everything and all of this kind of carrying on and it's not supposed to be pain and suffering and this is not what life is supposed to be about. So she sliced her hand because again it's just her good nature that she couldn't just walk away and leave Mary there. That's just not how she built. So she sliced her hand after hearing Mary's whole story, like all she went through and she lost her son and all of that, just because it went down. It went down in the house. When she killed him, the little boy got killed and all that in the midst of that. They were shooting and, it was a battle before she took everybody out. But the little boy got it. He got done. Anyway, so she sliced her hand and she put her blood into the jar. Because the sister wasn't innocent, so her blood wasn't no good. So she used that blood. She handed it to Mary, and it released Mary from the mirror. And she come out, she just has her slave garb that she had before, and her hair is just straight down. It's not all puffed up and looking all good anymore. It's just regular. And she's like, you freed me. You freed me from the mirror. She said, I told you it's your innocence. It's the innocence of you. And when she was coming out of the mirror, they touched hands, everything was turning red. She's like, wait, what's going on here? She's like, what is going on? And then she's standing there and she looks at her and she says, everything comes at a cost, even my freedom. My freedom comes at a cost, but the cost is yours. And baby, she was locked in the mirror. She was now Bloody Mary. And she's locked in the mirror. And she's like, that power of that mirror and everything that you're experiencing and that you're going to learn, it's yours to do what you want to do. You reign with it however you choose to reign. And she's like, I'm out of here. And she walks off. That was her thing. She was a manipulator. She was a manipulator. She wasn't a killer. She was a manipulator, but she would manipulate other people to kill. And then that was the thing. She needed to manipulate somebody to get those three valves of blood together so she can get on up out of there. But she didn't kill, but she manipulated other people to do it. And so that was that. And then as it draws to a close, you see another little black girl and cute little black girl. She's in there. She's doing the whole Bloody Mary thing. And then the next thing you know, you see her appear. And here it is. It's Bianca looking beautiful. Now, Bianca's makeup looked a lot better than Dominique Jackson's, but it still didn't give me what I really, really wanted. What I really, really want. But anyway, that was, and then she's looking evil. Like she started looking like evil and diabolical at this time. And I'm like, oh, it done changed her, child. And that's kind of where it cut out at. I really I like the idea of where we were going, and the Bloody Mary story was a little bit different. It wasn't just so humdrum. Well, I mean, it was just too much borrowed stuff. It was too much like Candyman for me. Too much like Candyman with a twist of Freddy Krueger, and I just didn't care for that. Um, I just really would have liked the chance to be in there and put my spin onto what it is they actually. There's so much. Just that, screw all that other stuff. The story started from the story of Margaret Worth and how her and Mary came in together. There's there's a story to be told right there. Right in there could be turned and finessed, and it could be as serious and as fierce as Coven is in the AHS world. It really could. That whole piece of that story could fit right into the whole Coven situation. Um, yeah, yeah, that was just too bad. But no, y'all were wrong. 2 weeks in a row. I didn't care so much for this one. Um, I didn't hate it because I see the potential in the story. I wish Ryan revisit this, revisit the story of Margaret Worth and Bloody Mary, revisit that. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got for this. Yeah, y'all are a little off this week, but this has been it. This is season 2, episode 5, Bloody Mary, American Horror Stories. All right, you guys, I'll catch y'all next week. Later.